Good evening, Gopher fans, and welcome back to another episode of Sky U Pod, your college huddle Golden Gopher football podcast. We're coming at you during the off season to just kind of recap what has happened over the past few weeks here, including coaching changes, the portal, and also Big Ten schedules just dropped today. So we wanted to discuss that a little bit. But as always, joining me is Kurt and Max. Fellas, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good. Hanging in there with the cold weather, but yeah, pretty good. I think I saw it was like almost a little over 200 days until the first next Gopher game. So we're right back to 2026.
The countdown begins. Yeah, I'm
That's right.
doing good, Shuddy. Good to be back with you, fellas. It's been like a week since the Natty, and I can't believe still that Indiana football won national championship. It's straight out of a video game. Like when you just
It
create
is.
dynasty mode, take the
It
team, build them
is.
Yeah.
up right away, and win it in year two. Like it's. I know money plays a factor now, but I think some people are underappreciating the turnaround. Like a lot of people are giving its due, but I see a lot of people bringing up NIL right away, and it's just so much more. I think went into that than just Indiana getting some money to get some guys. Like I don't know. I really don't think we'll see anything like that again. Like an Indiana pop up and in year two win the title. Like maybe LSU in year two wins it with Kiffin or something, but they're already established and have had money. I don't think we'll see a turnaround like that.
Right.
At least anytime soon.
I agree.
Yeah.
And if anything, I think that's probably a really good thing for college football. I think. I mean, if they can do it, anyone can do it. And I think, when PJ Flex said to the locker room, dream big, I think that this is an obvious example of what can happen if you just put it all together. So
For sure.
congrats to the
I also
Hoosiers.
I also think we're all about to get really annoyed with them because I don't think they're going away based on what they got out of the transfer portal and whatnot. So I think they're going to be a mainstay at the top of the Big Ten and top of the country here for at least the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Yeah. The success they've had in such a short amount of time is impressive, but the fact that it looks sustainable is terrifying. But like you said,
Yeah.
I mean that's it's not only the new era of college football with the players they can get, but Kurt Signetti doesn't stay there if there's no NIL or he can't keep reloading the way he's been doing it. So
Right.
yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump into our first topic, fellas. We're going to start with the coaching changes that have happened. Um, as we all know, a lot of different things have happened, including the return of some old Golden Gopher legends, if you ask me, out of Mo Ibrahim and Isaac Frichte. Also, a returning, why am I blanking out of his name? Returning offensive line coach,
Matt Limegrover.
Matt Limegrover, solid coach, coming back too. But ultimately, I think our discussion is just going to be how is this going to look coaching next year. Curdy, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on the coaching carousel at Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean there was more changes than we covered most of them last show. I think Max, who was I with? Was Max gone last show? One of you was gone last show. I'm a good co-host and I remember things like that. So good to get everyone's thoughts. But just a quick recap here, and then I'll dive into the main one, which I think is Lime Grover coming back. But defensive line coach CJ Robbins, rush end coach Bobby April III, special teams coordinator Daniel Da Pietro. I probably butchered that. The guy from New Mexico. Wide receiver coach Isaac Frifty, running backs coach Mo Ibrahim, assistant D line coach Travis Moore, senior defensive analyst Brian Nardo, and assistant offensive line coach Matt Linegrover. And there's another offensive line assistant, Caleb Richardson. So those were all either new hires or promotions. Uh, so more than what I think we thought we would see. Now, why I think the Lime Grover one is interesting, and we spoiler alert, if you're listening to this, we were on the Big Ten huddle talking about this a little bit just the other day, and so feel free to go check out that video. But I think the Lime Grower hire signals, to me at least, and I like to go kind of Colin Coward with any news we get in the offseason, just make it a bigger thing than it actually is. I think it signals a slight strategy change for your Gopher offense. Just with, we talked about it on this pod. We kept running plays that didn't necessarily look like they matched together as far as running zone and then trying to run play action with pulling guards, right? And when we did mix in some pulling guards, power type plays, maybe a little bit of counter, like those were the plays that seemed to make the run game take off last year, but we just didn't seem super comfortable running it very often. So to me, going back, getting Lime Grover out of the Jerry Kill era, bringing him in and having that veteran coach there to get these linemen ready to be able to do more of that, at the very least, to me, signals that they're going to be ready to be more flexible. And so if mid zone, inside zone isn't working, which is typically what PJ's love to run in his tenure here, then they have something else in their arsenal, if you will, to go to and try and get things going. So I'm really excited about that one. And obviously the former Gophers coming back to help out is great too. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely nice to help bolster the assistant coaching staff, just to get some fresh blood in there. I know I think we all and probably a lot of Gopher fans were maybe, I don't know. I feel like I had mixed feelings on the Matt Simon, departure. I think it was maybe time for just a new voice in that room. Seems like things are kind of just hit a plateau. So yeah, awesome to get a guy, former Gopher, former. I think he coached at Winona State as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be totally wrong about that, but
no, he did.
Yeah, so I don't know, Minnesota guy sticking around. Hopefully, he can kind of revitalize that wide receiver room, which we desperately need to. I don't know, develop some talent, I guess, really to help out Drake Lindsay and the rest of the offense. But yeah, I think my big takeaway is just both offensively and defensively. A lot of criticism coming on both coordinators. This helps them, just more voices, more people with experience to kind of help them out, bounce ideas off of them, hold them accountable. These are people that have been there, done that. So if they can kind of utilize that and take the help when needed, then great. And if not, PJ's kind of removed all their excuses. Like, you've got new players, you've got new coaches, you've got experience. What more do you need to see? So I don't know, kind of feels like, I'm not saying that these guys are on the hot seat as far as Danny Collins and Greg Harbaugh, but this feels like a make or break season for the both of them, that they kind of have to prove it.
Completely agree. That's well said. Yeah, he gave them a lot of help, PJ that is, in getting them kind of veteran coaches too. I have a question, and Spencer, I'm going to start with you. Put you on the spot here. It just came to me. Does the hiring of Lime Grover put Callahan at all on the hot seat? Like if it's another down year or so year for this O line, do you think that this is a potential lineup move to have the replacement right there if things don't work out?
Definitely. I just think if you look back at, let's look at the resume with Lime Grover, at least with the Jerry Kill years, when he was here. I mean, we remember the running production that was. I mean, you're looking at, let's just go as far back as, David Cobb. That's a guy that racked up a lot of yards. Obviously, we know Shannon Brooks, Rodney Smith, lots of good names. And I know that I think Smith trickled in the PJ Fleck, if I remember correctly a little bit. But anyways, I think that what was established at the line was a large part of what they were doing under Kill and Lime Grover there. And it started up front. There's a lot of big fellas up there that produced. And not only that, that was kind of the mainstay of the offense, right? If you remember, with Leidner at quarterback, really throwing the ball wasn't an option, and you had kind of that awesome receiver like a Fricky in there to kind of clean up the mess when you need a big passing play, right? So I think that the running game has to get better. I think it will. One down year over the past, I don't know, several years, I do think that it'll improve, and I do think that it's all going to start with just being cohesive up front, and maybe not just playing chess between all of your, you know, linemen. Right? We saw a lot of mixing and matching, and by the end of the year, it was exactly what it was when it started. And so I think that this should bring the line hopefully to another level. And I do think that Callahan is on the hot seat, and I think a lot's got to change if he's going to want to keep his job here.
Yeah, I agree. Again, he's a guy that's been here a long time. We've seen the production, we've seen talent being produced, but like Matt Simon, it's kind of a little bit stale, maybe. Um, so yeah, it is interesting that we're going back to a kill era coach. I think that's maybe the first time we've seen PJ do that, if I'm not mistaken, unless there was some
It's
other
got to be.
assistant that. Yeah, so
There's usually not
it's
a lot of turnover or mixed matching from
Retention.
former staff.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it is interesting. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I don't necessarily want Callahan to lose his job or anything, but yeah, kind of like we just said. I mean, it's kind of now or never. So
I'd be ticked if we got rid of Kelly. Well, I mean, if I think it goes well it can go, I think I don't think I get what you guys are saying. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I would be shocked if we fired Callan just with how well he's recruited. I mean, he's brought in some of the highest O line recruits ever, and it's not like they're not getting drafted. I mean, since he's been here, we've had more linemen drafted than I don't think Kill had one. I don't believe so. They killed Clay's era. I don't think they had a single lineman drafted. Um, Not that what you guys are saying isn't valid. I asked the question. It's fun to speculate and things. I never know, right? Like it's kind of like Matt Simon getting non-renewed, or I think actually he had more term left, so I think he was fired. But Matt Simon being outed, I think shows that PJ wants something to change. And he went out and added Lime Grover, but he also added Frifty, who had that offensive coordinator experience at North Dakota. So I think he's just trying to, like you said, Max, give both younger coordinators as much help as possible that his budget allows him to, and just go from there. Just kind of like, I mean, it's kind of prove it years, I think, for both of them, just with the players that they brought in that we're going to get to here in a second, and the coaches to help them out.
And I think that's exactly it, Curry. Like we saw Simon, who's been here as long as PJ has, seem to be untouchable, right, in terms of job secure, at least in my eyes. And he was just let go. And I think that's why I think anyone's job is up for
Yeah,
sale, if you will, or it's a prove it year. I think, and I'm not saying that they have to be one of the top offenses in the Big Ten, right? But it definitely needs to improve, and there definitely needs to be signs that it will improve after this upcoming year, right? It can't be stale, like Max said. It has to show signs of improvement and signs that it will continue to improve as constructed.
agreed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into some portal talk. Busy across the whole landscape of college football. But I think ultimately the Gophers did a pretty solid job. I thought that we kind of kept more than left. Maybe there was maybe a couple spots that we wish we could have dabbled in a little more, like offensive line. But I don't know. Overall thoughts. What do you think, Max?
yeah, obviously the big one's Koi Parrish. But if not saying I'm okay with losing him,
Who?
but yeah, no, not saying I'm okay that he left. I'm not saying I wish. I'm glad he left. I absolutely wish he could have stuck around because he's just not a guy you're going to be able to replace. But luckily we have a Kerry Brown and Aiden Gooseby, so you can not fully replace him, but at least you're pretty stacked at that position with some guys with some experience and talent. So I think it'll work out just fine. And yeah, I think we got to see what happens when you free up some cap space, if you will, in college football these days. We went out and we loaded up on the defensive front. We got a couple wide receivers, a couple running backs. Yeah, I mean, the other I think the other two big names that left was just Saquon Bryan and Femi Ijiboy, the guys that got significant playing time from last season. Like we talked about on JR show, I think Ijiboy is probably going to be a more long-term hit, if you will, just because we have Darius Taylor and AJ Turner returning. But Saquon Bryan, young player that was starting at corner. We do have a lot of young depth at cornerback, but I think that was a room that was already pretty thin, if you will. So I'm hoping it felt like we were going to have to replace him, whether he was here or he left. Like he either had to get a lot better or we had to find someone else to take his spot. But we do still have Nestor, so I'm hopeful that things will get better at that room. But yeah.
Yeah, I think Boy's loss could be immediate as well. I mean, we're returning Darius, who has yet to stay healthy for a full season. And Turner's back, but he just tore 3 ligaments in his knee last year. So is he going to be the same guy even that they were hoping he was going to be, that we really didn't even get to see last year because of how early he got hurt? We'll see. We didn't really bring in as experienced of backs as I thought we might due to that, but like we'll get to here, I think we spent the money pretty well. Maybe just for fans' sakes, in case they missed it, we'll read through the players really quick that we brought in, and then just so fans know that maybe missed some. There was 19 total. I'm gonna butcher half of these names, so maybe I'll stick with the last names. All right, this is the order of what they are ranked out of the portal. So most highest rated to least rated according to 247 Sports. Number 1, Chapman, the defensive tackle out of Florida International. Number 2, Perry Thompson, Auburn wide receiver. 3, Sid Kaba, Marshall defensive tackle. 4, Ted Bush Jr., Cal defensive edge. He led Cal's defense in pressures and sacks last year. 5, Aiden West, Michigan State cornerback. 6, Bennett Warren, Tennessee offensive tackle. 7, Noah Jennings, Cincinnati receiver. 8, Caden Helms, Oklahoma tight end. 9, Ty Thomas Jr., Elon running back. 10, Naquan Crowder, Marshall defensive tackle. 11, Parker Knutson, SMSU, so Division II guy, safety. Makai Smith, Lehigh safety. 13, Michael Merdinger, backup quarterback from Liberty. 14, Zion Steptoe, receiver out of Tulsa. 15, Jerron Thomas, running back from Purdue. I think he was a true freshman last year, I think. He's either redshirt or true freshman, so he's got a lot of eligibility left. And he had high 3 stars out of high school, I believe. So maybe there's some upside there, they think. Number 16, Andrew Marshall, outside linebacker, Eastern Michigan. He sounds more of a special teamers depth guy, but I mean, he played a lot of special teams, so never a bad ad there. 17, Elijah West. I believe that's the brother of Aiden West. Elijah's also a safety for Michigan State. 19, Beckon Sunderland, Michigan kicker. And 19, Zachary Robbins, punter/kicker from Utah State. So those are the 19 additions. Thanks for bearing with me.
I think you pronounced all their names right. That was great, Curdy.
All right. So let's just start with an easy one. Spencer, we'll go to you. What is your favorite ad of the portal? Well, we'll start there. What's your favorite ad of the portal?
Oh, favorite ad. I'm gonna I'm gonna take maybe a different look here because I don't want all of ours to be the same. I do like the tight end edition of Helms out of Oklahoma. He didn't have a whole lot of production at Oklahoma. He did have a touchdown, but it's a veteran presence when we're losing Gears and Bibber. right? Who got a lot of playing time and production, honestly. And Kurt, you were before this even season even started. I remember you mentioning Gears maybe having quite a year or having to rely on him, and that was the case all season. He probably was arguably one of the most important offensive pieces the whole season, right? So to get a veteran in there when both of your top tight ends are leaving, I think is important, especially now that we're really adding in the tight end play, right? More so than we wish. Um, we wish that had been the case many years ago, but now it seems to be coming into play again. So I just like to see someone from Oklahoma. Obviously, can probably play, athletic, big guy. So hopefully he just fits in the system well, sees some playing time, is a good blocker, but also a ball catcher. So I'm excited to see how he does.
Yeah, just to add on to what you said about him, what was nice about that is that the guys that we're bringing back outside of Pierce Walsh, I think Pierce Walsh has shown that he's kind of grown to be more rounded. But a lot of the young guys that they like in that room are more of the athletic receiving body types. And so Helms gives you that, more experience, like you said, should he run blocking tight end. And he can definitely be that guy for you. And a lot of times those guys end up being the most important ones on the team. And look at Nick Callerup, who's going to play for a Super Bowl now with Seattle. He was not viewed as a pass catcher at all, but he played pretty much every snap. So I think I'm with you. I think Helms has that ability to be that sneaky ad that gets overlooked and probably won't put up a ton of stats, but could still be that important.
Yeah, definitely. I think my favorite get in the portal was Bennett Warren out of Tennessee, the offensive tackle. I think you could probably argue that the offensive line was our biggest area of need. We went out and got a guy to fill that right tackle spot, assuming Tony Nelson retains his role at right guard. So to me, it could be a huge swing and a miss just because he's the only offensive lineman we went out and got. But if it is a hit, he pretty much solidifies our offensive line because everyone else is pretty much in their spots. They all return as starters. They all come back with experience. So if he's able to fill that role, and he's got years left as well, he's still a young player, so it's got long-term potential. He's not a one and done either. So I do like that pickup.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting just when you look at it, kind of the different strategies there. Like when they came to like sides of the ball. We kind of talked about this on JR show at the end really quick. But the guys that have like proven stats or snaps at least are on the defensive side. It's like they went out and really shored up pretty much every level of the defense. Didn't take a lot of linebackers, but we brought pretty much all of ours back outside of Devin Williams. But so yeah, it was interesting to see them on offense go high upside. Had to pay some money for these guys, but you know, taking some swings on guys that could develop into A+ players. So yeah, that one's definitely exciting. A lot of schools were after him, so that was a good get. My favorite addition, and I've already told you guys this, but our listeners don't know. It's TJ Bush Jr., the edge rusher from Cal. It was such an out of left field get that was like not on our radar at all. We're already retaining Anthony Smith, Mentz, and Howden, or Howard, Jackson Howard. Yeah, sorry, Jackson Howard. And so I thought, like, okay, those are the main three. They'll have a younger guy fourth ready to go and mix in there. But adding TJ Bush Jr. and with as much production as he has, all of a sudden to me, that means that you just freed up Anthony Smith to move back inside if and when you want it. And so we grabbed 3 defensive tackles out of this portal, which was awesome. But like if it comes again where you're struggling to get a pass rush from the interior side of the defensive line, having that ability now where you can have, you know, TJ Bush play on one side and either Howard or Menz on the other, and then slide Anthony Smith inside on like obvious passing situations, or just, you know, we've complained before about the lack of D line rotation. So maybe Anthony Smith is just playing in the middle and getting some of those bigger guys a breather. But having that ability, I think that's such a huge get. Just not only the production that he has himself, led Cal in sacks and pressures last year, had his choices of places to go as well. So getting that, but then also just what it does for Anthony Smith and being able to move him pretty much anywhere now.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like you said too, the other depth we brought in with the portal additions of Chapman, Kaba, and Crowder. I mean, that rotation could look pretty good and pretty deep if they're all able to produce. At least if a couple are able to produce. I mean,
Yeah.
that definitely helps out. And I like that we just got kind of a variety of guys that can play. We didn't just get like giant nose guards. We got some guys that can play that three technique position as well. Kind of that the Jalen Logan
Yeah.
Redding position more
Yeah.
so.
One of the Marshall guys was like the highest rated. I know this doesn't mean everything, but it was like the highest graded interior pass rusher in their conference out of Marshall. So, or no, that was the FIU guy. I apologize. But still, like they can get after it. Like they have
Yeah,
shown it, at least at their, other level, that they were able to create some havoc. And on top of that, remember how much we talked about the Purdue transfer D tackle last year that missed all year? Mo Omananode. That's not right, but that's who I'm talking about. He
yeah,
is back next year. So if he's able to be anything like that, he is your big nose tackle. All of a sudden, you have the three additions. Mo is back, and maybe he's able to give you something on running situations. And you retained all your young up and coming guys that you wanted to. I'm not going to go out and say we're deep because we don't know the level of production that any of them can give us yet, but it's on paper. You're feeling a lot better than you were last year when you had Devin Eastern, Jalen Logan Redding, and Rashawn Lawrence, who I liked him and I thought he did a good job, but he was clearly a pass rushing undersized D tackle, and we had to play him way more than he probably should have just because of how thin we were there. So really exciting
yeah,
stuff. And quite frankly, they were able to get all those guys because Coy moved on. And, me and Spencer talked about it last pod. Coy jumping in the portal. I said it, then I'll say it again. I didn't want to lose Coy, but we said it before he entered that this football team on the field would not take much of a hit and would be perfectly fine without him. And I think in this day and age of the transfer portal, kind of playing money ball a little bit if you're the Gophers and don't have the unlimited bankroll that a lot of the bigger schools seem to have. I don't know how smart it really is to have that much money tied up in your safeties. Reportedly Coy was going to make well over $1 million next year if he was going to be back. And he was trying to force his way in. Well, him and the coaches were trying to fit him in on offense. Sounds like it was maybe just as much Coy's idea as anybody's. Is what is kind of coming out now. Funny how that happens once things part ways. But anyway, I'm saying all that because Kerry Brown's probably not cheap to bring back, and Aiden Gooseby is a starter, and I'm sure making some nice money as well. So if you're Minnesota and paying, I don't know, say $2 million conservative close to it for your safety room, being able to spread that out and get some more D linemen, go out and get this offensive tackle that we maybe weren't gonna, get that high of an upside type guy, or go out and get Perry Thompson, who was like the 28th or something like that receiver in the portal that had a lot of options. I don't think you get as many interior D linemen or the tier of receiver and offensive tackle that we did if Coy comes back. Now, it's all potential, right? Like Coy's potential is through the roof, could go on to be great, like we saw in the freshman year glimpses of it. And these guys are all potential. We don't know how it's all going to mesh together here. And as we saw, Khalil Tafai out of Washington, the guy I was pumped to get, never saw the field. So, injuries happen. That sounds like that's kind of what it was for him. Interesting enough, he went back, or not back to Cal, back out west, and he ended up at Cal. So, but yeah, I'm very excited for how this portal class is shaping up, and I don't think they could have done much better. If I'm going to be greedy, Spencer, you mentioned it. I wish we would have grabbed one more proven interior lineman. And then on the other side of that, I completely understand. Like we got guys like the younger Carroll. Um, there's another younger guy too that is projected to be interior, I believe. that are some of our highest rated recruits out of high school on the roster. So, and they're coming into their second and third year. So you're hoping that they can push and maybe not play right away, but be ready to go and potentially rotate it in depending on what happens. So overall, very good. Suppose we could touch on the DBs. They brought in like 5 of them. If any of you want to start there.
Yeah, DBs. Obviously, it seems like the um, the defensive side of the ball really just reinforced it. It seemed like they really looked at defense and said, "All right, let's just get after everything that we can." And I thought that they did a good job. So starting at at the DBs here, we'll start at cornerback. So we're getting Aiden West and Elijah West, right? And then 2 incoming freshmen, Justin Hopkins and Chance Payne. We all know that cornerback play was okay. It wasn't great by any means. Zaquan Bryant. Um, you know, he's gone now, but I think this addition of Aiden West is a good one. You know, he's a true freshman and is able to play a lot of games out there. And, under Joe Rossi, who we know is was a great defensive coordinator for us. So I'm confident that he'll fit into the system somewhat well.
And he
Um,
is a corner. So like that's
right,
the Brian replacement, in my opinion. Like 1 for 1. Not saying he'll start right away because they got young guys on the roster that we like, but that was an
right.
impressive ad. There was a lot of schools that wanted him. Again, he was a high recruit out of high school.
Yeah. And then, his brother's coming to Elijah West. Not really sure how he is, but I think with him, and then I guess before this transfer portal stuff, there's Mike Gerald, who I think will compete for the starting cornerback spot against probably Aiden West. But you also have, Nestor, who's probably going to start there, but Gooseby, who played cornerback in the last 2 games of the year, right? So it seems like there's a lot of great mixing and matching that they can do, at least, or a lot of competition to just see what they can get, the best out of these players. So specifically at cornerback, I'm pretty happy. I don't know. Any of you guys have any thoughts about the cornerback before we jump into safeties?
Well, I think those other 2 are listed as safeties, but from my understanding, I think Makai Smith, the Lehigh guy, sounds like he's probably more
Yeah,
staying at safety. But
yeah,
the Division II guy out of SMSU, he he's somebody that Iowa and Iowa State were pushing for as well. He has the ability to move around the field, and I think he'll be playing mixing in with Kerry Brown, or at least one of them can play like that slot corner, nickel, whatever you want to call it. So they're kind of keeping the theme here of being versatile back there, and I think a lot of these guys that are even listed as safety could be moved around the field a lot. And we got some young safeties. Is it Harden? Is that the guy that's really excited and the favorite now to replace Coy? That's
Yeah.
yeah. Now that he's
Yep.
gone, so um, very interesting room. Overall, pretty young, I think. Still, I mean, but some experience still, right? Like Aiden West, uh, like you said, Shreddy, he started every game pretty much last year for Michigan State as a freshman. So, just a lot of really good competition, and I think it's tough to say they upped, like they increased their upside with Qui-Gon, but they got some guys there that had options to go elsewhere in the portal cycle, and they chose here. So, that's a good sign.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I'm glad we, keep that room flexible. And yeah, I think the biggest question mark now is just like you said, Kurt, who's going to play that kind of Giante McMillan, Jack Henderson role? Like, and with the flexibility we have, we could kind of do it like we did with when we had both those guys on the roster, where it's a passing situation, it's a different guy to that nickel spot. If it's a running situation, bring in the guy that's better at tackling. Like, it's kind of nice that you can sort of rotate within one position and not really lose anything else anywhere else on the field. Like you're not stealing from another spot where
Right.
you've got guys that can just mix and match, and ultimately too, it just adds more confusion for the offense. So it's another nice
Yeah. Parker
addition.
Knutson, the SMSU guy, he had like the highest tackling grade of DBs like in their conference, in the Division II. And I know it's Division II, so it's a step up. Not expecting him to be the same, but when you're coming in and we have to replace guys that left that were missing a ton of tackles, I think it's a good sign that you're getting guys that were proving to be good tacklers, obviously. So yeah, I mean, um, if you guys got anything else on certain guys, feel free to chime in. Like I know we technically brought in 2 running backs. The Elon guy, to my understanding, was primarily a punt returner and kick returner type player there, and mixed in a little bit. So I think that's primarily going to be his role here. Maybe he'll only get mixed in. You never know with injuries and behind Darius and AJ Turner. There's not a lot of experience on the team, so I'm sure it's open him. But I think they primarily see him as a special teams player. Same with the outside linebacker, like I said, from Eastern Michigan, Andrew Marshall. He played a ton of special teams there. I think that's probably his role here if everything works out how the coaches think it will. But never a bad ad there. Um, yeah, that's pretty much everyone. The receivers. Okay, let's go here. Let's go to the receiver room. There's not a ton of production that they brought in the receiver room, and given that guys that were here, right, like Lemecki graduated, Malachi Coleman went to Wisconsin, awful decision, young man, and then Kenrick Lanier off to Missouri for a fresh start. Does it worry you that we're bringing in guys that definitely played, but don't necessarily have the amount of catches you'd necessarily like to see for really a passing offense that's trying to get more consistent and more explosive at the same time? Max, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's a little bit concerning because it feels like that's kind of been the trend the last few years as we bring in someone he's a big body, he's fast, he's got potential, and then the next year they're gone. And Perry Thompson, like, not saying he's going to be that guy, but he's the one that's kind of circled as
Got all the marks
are
of it,
are we
right?
doing this again? Like four or
Yeah.
five straight years of bringing in a guy who's got all this explosive, take the top off the defense type potential, and then he gets 2 catches for 12 yards. Like, I hope not. I think having Smith and wow, totally blanking on the Miami Ohio
Tracy.
transfer. Yeah, Javon Tracy. Having those guys coming back helps that you already kind of have your number one and number two guys kind of in that, they're pretty much where they're going to be. So it's not like we need to replace a number one or number two pass catcher, but Drake Lindsay can throw to more than just 2 receivers, I think. So hopefully the third guy comes along and proves it, but it's it's like a minor concern just off of the trend, but it's not a glaring need just because we have guys there already.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little. I agree with Max. It's a little concerning, but now with the addition of Isaac Frichte, maybe we start to see a little more production from the receivers in general. It is good to have Tracy coming back, along with Jalen Smith, your 1 and 2 receivers, right? So I think in terms of that production, it'll be good, but it would be a good addition to have some proven receiver that's able to just kind of go streak down the field and catch a bomb with like some explosive speed. Um, yeah, it's just going to look different. Again, we're going to see a different receiving room, and I'm a little kind of just, I don't want to say unimpressed, but I'm just kind of indifferent about what's been added from the transfer portal. But at least we'll probably see we'll see them in the rotation, but maybe like you said, Max, it's only going to be like 2 receptions, 13 yards.
Hey, I will say there are young guys that have not left yet. Well, one of them's young, like Bradley Martino, the guy out of Florida. I think, gosh, was he a true freshman? He's either a true freshman or redshirt freshman this past year. I think they're hoping guys like him can obviously compete for one of those roles too to see the field this year. Um, but like guys that don't have a lot of stats, like the Zion Steptoe, the guy out of Tulsa, like they gave him the ball, they handed him the ball 6 or 7 times, like out of the slot last year. So they do seem to be have some athletic upside, which is always good. That sounds obvious, but it's when your coach comes out like out of the high school recruiting portal season or out of the high school recruiting season says, "Yeah, we really emphasize speed this year." It's like, great, we should do that every year. But it does seem like try to get more athletic just overall at the position. So maybe some guys that can do some different things that like maybe it feels like overall they took on more projects a little bit or guys that they think could shine if they get them in and can get them to do just a couple things differently. But yeah, and a guy that didn't transfer, who PJ has said is one of the most explosive guys with the ball in his hand, Donnell, aka Nuke Hayes, is still here. So I'm glad he's sticking it out. I hope he gets a chance to show what he can do. But yeah, to say I'm not concerned about the
I
receiver
forgot
room would be
about him,
wrong.
man.
Yeah,
At first, yeah, but
like they got some guys, and they really liked the guys that they got as true freshmen. So we'll see how far down, you know, how young they're willing to get out there. I think it's a wide open room, to be honest. Like, yeah, we're expecting Jalen Smith to develop and Javon Tracy. They both played a lot last year, but we played a ton of receivers last year. I think they'll start the same for next year unless people really separate in camp. So, um, yeah, I think there's still a lot of I got to see it to believe it out of the receiver room and honestly just the offense in general with how we recruited it. It's a lot of potential, but we talked about potential a lot the last 2 years, I think, with the offensive side of the ball.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, transfer portal drama. We'll just kind of see how the rest of the offseason plays out, obviously. Because there is still the spring window, correct?
No,
I know.
No.
it's
Yeah, that's
gone.
gone, right? So
We're
this is
safe.
it.
They're all stuck
Thank
here.
goodness. Yeah. Suckers. No, that's great. So yeah, it's exciting. I think overall, I think what we're all saying is it was a good transfer portal season. I think that they did well. Obviously, if we're nitpicking, there's a few spots that needed maybe a little more help with the O line and maybe receiver, maybe running back, but ultimately, I think that they did a pretty good job.
One last thing, I just wanted to because I think it's a compliment to the staff for getting guys like this too. Two of the defensive tackles, including the highest rated one, the FIU kid, have a couple years remaining eligibility wise. So it wasn't just a bunch of one and dones. There's a few kids here, obviously in the D backs that have a lot of years left, but even the interior guys have multiple years. So that was good.
Right on. All right, and lastly, the Big Ten schedules for the upcoming 2026 season have dropped. Yep, as you can see on the diagram here, we got a lot of solid games, I think. So you start off against Eastern Illinois at home, then you go have Mississippi State at home, Akron at home, at Washington, Michigan at home, at Purdue, then head into a bye, which afterwards we have Iowa at home. We are at Indiana this year, the rare, matchup that we really never see um, after they just won a national championship naturally. Home against UCLA, at Penn State, home against Northwestern, and at Wisconsin. A pretty exciting slate, if you ask me.
That's
Especially
a hard
since the fact
schedule. I'll
it's a
just be
hard schedule.
honest.
It's a hard schedule. You got four of your rivals on there as well, out of Michigan, Penn State, Iowa, and Wisconsin. So you have a chance at, holding some trophies that we'd really love to have back in Minnesota where they rightfully belong. But yeah, let's start with you, Max. What are your thoughts on the schedule?
Yeah, obviously that middle stretch there, the Washington through Indiana is going to be kind of I guess, the new like Big Ten slog where you kind of just week in and week out are going to have to grind through it. Nice we get a bye before Iowa. I hope that helps us in some way to try to get that pig back at home. Um, yeah, I mean the non-conference as well. I mean you get a SEC team in Mississippi State coming up to Minnesota, so that'll be an interesting matchup as well. Um, I think the biggest question or the biggest like I just don't know what to think about it is Penn State. Like, what do they look like under Matt Campbell in year one? It seems like they pretty much brought all of the Iowa State Cyclones to Nittany Valley or to Nittany Valley to Happy Valley for the
I know
Nittany
what you meant.
Lions. And yeah, I don't know if I should be afraid of going to Penn State or not.
Well, I mean, I think just to answer, not to answer your question, but I'm with you there. Like, I don't think it's not going to be like looking at Penn State going into last season, right? When they were
Right.
one of the favorites to win the conference and potentially win the Natty. But I still think their roster is going to be probably deeper and a little bit more athletic, obviously. I mean, Iowa State, when healthy, was pretty solid last year, and their quarterback is pretty legit.
Rocco.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Indiana, man. They just won that Natty, and now it's a team that you do not want to see. So Iowa and Indiana back to back is definitely tough. Washington and Michigan back to back is tough, and Mississippi State. I think they showed some positive trends last year as far as a team that was supposed to be kind of dead in the SEC. I mean, it's an easier conference to play in, but I think they showed some grit in there and got out some tough wins. So I don't even know if we'll be favored in that game, to be honest. I bet you I bet you it's like Gophers by like 1.5. That would be my bet right now if it was available to bet on. Like I think it would be that tight, and I don't know if I wouldn't be shocked for a 1 point underdog either, just with how Vegas usually sees this. Yeah, for me, forget the win loss here. You have to beat Iowa. You have to. It's it's embarrassing at this point. There's no other way to put it. Like this is going to be PJ. Did PJ just complete his 9th year? Right. This is going to be year 10, or was last year 10? I think it's going to be year 10. Uh we need that pig. It was awesome to beat them in Kinnick, but we haven't seen a home win against Iowa since 2014. We got to see it. Both teams are going to be coming off a bye. You got no excuses, PJ. You can't talk up Kinnick and how scary it is and pee down your leg there. You got to go out and out coach them. Finally, but I'm not counting it as a win. I'll say that. Like I gotta see it to believe it, obviously. But that's what stands out to me. And then yeah, Wisconsin's got an easier schedule, but listen, I'm like Wisconsin fans telling me that now we're supposed to take them seriously now that they got all these transfer players. Like they grabbed like 7 more guys than the Gophers did, and they still finished ranked behind us in the transfer portal rankings, which I believe we finished 6th in the Big Ten. In portal rankings. Last time I checked, and I think that was on the last day, so I guess things could have shifted slightly. But I think we finished 34th in portal rankings and 6th in the Big Ten. So yeah, I'm not scared of Wisconsin, even though they have another brand new quarterback that hasn't worked out for them. But yeah, Mississippi State, I think, like just looking at it, I don't know if you guys disagree, but I think Mississippi State's probably a coin flip game, especially with how we play early in the year. At Washington, I gotta say, is an L. Michigan, don't get me wrong, we're an underdog by a touchdown at least, but I feel a little bit better just because it is a first year coach, right? Now, Kyle Whittingham's a great coach. I would have felt better if they would have went out and got. I would have felt better if they had Matt Campbell or something like that, or Matt Rule. Is it Matt Campbell? The Iowa State guy. If he would have gone to
Yeah.
Michigan, I would have felt better for
Yeah.
Michigan. Okay. Um, or someone like that. But I think Kyle Whittingham is a good coach. So that's, I mean, 30% chance to win. Same with probably at Washington. Like that's going to be tough. Maybe the quarterback drama for Washington creates an ununified
Yeah.
team and, they sputter around. And then at Purdue before your bye week, that's we saw go down to the wire last year. Can never count out Purdue, but I think that one's I'm gonna give us 55, 60% chance just off the get go, off the rip of looking at it on paper. The old Feme Egypt Boy Revenge game is what it's going to be known as. And then you're going to be underdogs against Washington, Michigan, Iowa, Indiana, Penn State, and then because it's Vegas, probably Wisconsin as well on the road. So 6 games, underdogs. I don't know. What would you set the over under at, guys? I think Vegas will set it at. I think they're going to set it at. I mean, they don't pick whole numbers usually, right? So I'd
Six
go
and a half,
5. I'd go
five and a
5 or
half.
4 and I think it's probably 5.5.
Yeah. If
With the
you're setting
schedule.
it now, yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, it's a tough schedule. You're probably
Yeah.
right, Kurt.
Yeah, they probably are setting at 5.5 because that assumes, you would have to beat Mississippi State or Northwestern or
It could
upset
be four and a
someone.
half.
Like,
It depends on what they feel.
yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's so hard
if
too because
they
I feel like I haven't dove deep into like who everyone else
yeah.
has gotten in the portal. UCLA's got the JMU coach now. Like, I don't know who all they brought. They still have Nico, whatever his last name is. So
Right.
some of these teams, it's like it's so far out. I don't even know what to make of it. I totally forgot
But
Michigan had a new coach.
yeah. Yeah, their other coach is busy. We don't have to get into that. But
Yeah. Um yeah, it's hard, but you know what? It's exciting though because I don't know. Here's my initial reaction looking at this schedule. You got your 4 rivalries. You got to win 2 out of the 4. That's the first thing on paper that I see. You're right, Kurt. I would love to win Iowa and Wisconsin. Obviously, those are the two, selfishly that I want. Um, but if you can get the jug back, I think this year is a year where you can probably make that happen. Right, a new head coach comes in. They had a down year last year, but they weren't on your schedule. Maybe you can do it. You see them
I
at
mean,
home.
Michigan's
Maybe you
got
can get
those
fired up.
dudes still. But yeah,
They
we
do,
could.
yeah.
We could.
And
At
then
home, you never
Penn
know.
State, same thing. Penn State, you probably have a better shot with Penn State, right? Because I'm more I'm more worried about Michigan's coach than Penn State's
Yeah.
personally. But so like you could win 2 as of now. That this could change. Obviously, these are really way too early, but you do have to win 2 of the rivalry games. And I think that you have a good chance at doing it.
Rank them.
First,
Both but rank them and like
which ones I want?
most of the 4, not most ones you want, most likely we win to least likely we win. So easiest to hardest.
Most likely to least likely. I'm gonna go Wisconsin's most likely. Penn State's probably the next, and then realistically, it's probably technically Iowa, but because it hasn't happened for many years,
That's
like it's probably the least likely because it's just not going to
That's
happen.
what I was
So
gonna say too. I was gonna
yeah,
say
it's
Yeah.
I would put Wisconsin and Penn State as the 2 most gettable out of those 4, just
yeah,
because of how bad we play against Iowa, and how I
right.
mean Iowa's been a good team. Got to give them credit too, but I don't like to do that. It's a Gopher pod. We just got to figure it out, man. We just got to run jet sweep like in 2014, over and over and over again, and maybe we'll bring it back. That Tulsa receiver's got some carries off the sweep, so we'll see there. But yeah, I like how we just glance over Indiana. I don't have much hope. I think
Yeah, I
Washington
Yeah.
don't.
on the road and Indiana, I believe, is on the road. Like I I think those are your 2 toughest. I just don't feel good about those ones.
Yeah. And then I think the sneaky ones, right, are gonna be the Purdue's and the UCLA. Obviously Northwestern.
Oh,
And I don't even know if they're necessarily like sneaky, if you will, because
we have to beat them too. Northwestern,
yeah,
come on, man. 2 straight losses to Northwestern. And I know who's Minnesota talk down on people. Northwestern won the Big Ten West, yada, yada, yada. They're nerds. Like, we have to beat Northwestern. We
Yeah.
should have won probably the last two. At least you're right there in the last two. The 2 times ago, you blew a huge lead against them. So, and on top of that, here's why I really say that. Yeah, they're nerds, but they play 11 straight games. Their bye week is after week 1. Awful. I would hate that if I was Northwestern. 11 straight games in the Big Ten. I know they have a Ball State mixed in there in the middle, but still, you get them second to last game of the year. They should be on fumes, and you should be ready to bully them. I'm just putting this out here now so we can come back and check the attitude, because this team should have attitude for that game.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with the scheduling. Why the one team has just a random early
11
bye.
straight. Yeah.
They play. I mean, a good FCS team and SDSU, but like you play week 1 and then you're just off right away.
I'd
and
hate
then
that.
yeah, like what do you need that for? And then you're just all right. Let it rip.
How does that get approved? I really don't know how you approve that. Like, you'd be like, we got to
Right.
work this around someone. Like, even if it's them buying out a non-conference game and moving it somewhere that fits, I feel like they should do that, just because, yeah, it's an odd schedule to me. And then, like, just, off the rip here, looking at it, I think Oregon ends with 8 straight as well. So I say all that and pointing to, there's no more easy schedules in the Big Ten. And so for Minnesota to catch the bye pretty much right dead middle of the year, before Iowa, you got your 3 hard games out of the way, and not overlook. I know Purdue's going to be close, and all those games are going to be close for the most part, other than the FCS ones. But to get it in the middle and to get 2 out of the way early, and then have 2 to 3 at the end to really look forward to and gear up for. You just got to win. You just got to make it happen. And, they went out and spent a lot of money this year that they didn't think they were going to have. So it'd be nice to see some results. But this is all just an early speculation, as we tend to do in the off season. So we'll have a lot more of that coming at you here as we ramp up. And hey, these 200 some days are going to fly by. Sky U Pod's going to take care of you, Gopher fans. We're here for you. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your friends too. Anything else, fellas? That's all I got. I ran out of steam. It's my bedtime.
That's all right, Kurt. Thanks for plugging us. Yeah, so that'll be another episode of Sky U Pod. Please like and subscribe to our channel, which can be found on YouTube, X, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to check out our partners' website, thecollegehuddle.com, for more podcasts and articles about all things college football. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Go Gophers.